Alright, welcome back. You should have your close-up compositions now ready. The first thing we'll need to do is reactivate our rain layer. But since we're a lot closer, the rain will need to be a lot more visible. With the rain layer selected, we're going to increase the birth rate. Let's say 400. And another thing we're going to do is increase the depth size. So let's put 0.25. The reason why we need it to be larger is because we're closer to the ground, but the particle layer is still in the same position. So by the time that the rain reaches this point, it's already very small. So we need to make them bigger at the point of which they're supposed to die. So anyway, there's that one done. I'm going to quickly jump on into another one. You will need to treat each of these rain layers differently in each of your different close-up compositions. This is likely because you're going to be in a different position and different Z depth. So I'm going to show you how to do it one more time at a slower pace, and then I'm going to speed up, and then we'll carry on with the rest of the tutorial. So let's see if those settings work for this other comp. So rain layer turned back on. Birth size is 400. And new depth size is 0.25. You can see they're appearing a lot more now. Let's do one more. Rain layer reactivated, birth size 400, depth size 0.25. And again, much more visible. Well, it seems like these settings are working across all of mine. I'm not sure if you'll be having the same results if you've done yours differently. But as long as they're more visible, this is the result we want. Let's quickly do the other ones here. 0.25, yeah, I can see those particles clearly. Alright, so let's close these close-ups now. What we're going to do now is make a new composition to put all our scene elements into, and we'll also reorganize our project here. So let's get started with that. Go to Composition, New Composition, let's call it Rainy Scene Main. 25 seconds should do it. It may need to be 30 seconds once we've put all our elements down and we've checked the timing, but for now let's go with 25 and say OK. With our new Rainy Scene Main comp made, let's change a few things in our project panel. Select your Asset Comp folder, make a new folder by pressing this icon, hold Shift and press 8 to get the asterisk character and call it Image Comps. The asterisk character will just make sure that this is always at the top of our folders. Select photo frame 1 to 9 and drag them in there. Select all these comps which are currently in the render comps folder and drag those into the asset comps folder. Now drag your new rainy scene main into the render comp folder. With rainy scene main already open, drag rainy scene into it. Let's find the point just before the last picture lands, so about 6.5 seconds in. With the layer selected, hold Alt and the right square back bracket key to trim that layer. And then let's bring in the first close-up. Hold down Shift, drag it to the right, and it should automatically snap to this point here. At the moment it just cuts, and whilst that looks fine, I want to do something a little bit more fitting towards the scene, so we're going to be making a flash transition. So with the rain scene main comp selected, let's come up to Layer and select New Adjustment Layer. Let's turn that layer yellow and call it Flash 1. Click on the rain scene comp and press O to go to the out point, then hold Shift and press page up to go back 10 frames. Then press it again to go back another 10 frames, so 20 frames total. With the flash layer selected, hold Alt and left square bracket to trim. Now we're going to make our flash transition and we're going to start adding some effects to this adjustment layer. The first effect we're going to add is glow, so type glow in the effects and preset panel and double click it. The next effect we want to add is Gaussian blur. After that, we need to add optics compensation. Making sure you're at the endpoint of the adjustment layer, turn off Gaussian blur and optics compensation and then hit a keyframe for threshold and radius on the glow. Take the radius down to 0 and increase the threshold so that it's gone. It looks like it's not even there at all. Press U to reveal the keyframes. Click on the rain scene comp. Press O to go to the out point of that layer. Come back to the flash layer and then drag the threshold to the left to start bringing in this color. And then let's also increase the radius. Activate the Gaussian blur and jump back to those first keyframes with J. Hit a keyframe for the value of 0 and then repeat edge pixel. Press K to jump to those next keyframes and press U to reveal those new keyframes on our flash transition layer. Increase the blurriness quite a bit so it's almost like a fog, and let's just see what that looks like for now. This is kind of what we want, we're almost there. With your time indicator on the second set of keyframes, press Shift and page down to go ahead 10 frames. Now reduce the radius and increase the threshold. And let's set the blur down to 0. So let's have a look at what that looks like now, just before we add the optics compensation. So I quite like the look what's going on so far, the way these different colours get involved with our scene and how it stylistically brings our two scenes together. But just to add a little bit of something extra to this transition, let's add the optics compensation. So come up to the effects panel and turn optics compensation on. Select lens distortion and let's add a keyframe for field of view. Hit U to reveal those keyframes and press K to jump to those middle keyframes. Increase the value for the field of view until it starts to wrap around your scene. Press K to jump to those last keyframes and type in 0 in the field of view value. So let's have a look. Cool. The optics compensation does just add this extra value to our scene here, I think. Now that we've got those last keyframes in our adjustment layer, we're ready to trim it. So press J or K to go to those last keyframes, then hold Alt and square right bracket. With our flash transition ready, what we're going to do now is duplicate it a whole bunch of times and then add them between each of our scenes. We just need to decide how long we want each scene to be. So we want to see our text blurring, so let's say around here is close enough, 10 seconds to be exact. Then press Alt and square bracket to trim. Duplicate flash frame 1 so it becomes flash frame 2. Drag that down and across, then press U to reveal the keyframes. Then position those middle keyframes to the out point of the first close-up. Come back to the project panel and select Close-Up Comp 2. Drag that down and across and hold Shift so that it snaps to the end of Close-Up Comp 1. Let's just check what we've got here and assess where we want this to end. These don't have to be a uniform length. Bear with me whilst I let my RAM preview build up. I just want to make sure that we're cutting at an appropriate time. So it seems 13 seconds is fine. So hold the Alt key and the square back bracket to trim that layer again. And then let's move on to the next step. Okay, I can see it's 13 seconds in one frame, and I want that to be exactly 13 seconds. So I'm using the zoom into frame level here to get a closer look, and I'm just going to trim that off so it's exactly 13 seconds. Duplicate Flash 2 to make Flash 3 and drag it down. Press U to reveal those keyframes and then drag that layer across so that the middle keyframes meet the endpoint of Close-Up 2. Alright, so here we go. And at this point we want to bring in Close-Up 3. So let's drag over and see what that looks like. So it looks like 16 seconds is going to be fine for this, so I'm going to hit Alt and square right bracket to trim that layer. One thing I'm starting to notice is that maybe we're going to run out of time here. So I'm going to come back to the composition settings and just add a little bit more time to this composition. Let's put 35 seconds for now, just to give us a little bit of extra room to play with. I think 30 seconds is going to be the maximum that we'll need anyway. Select Flash 3 and press Command E to duplicate it, and then let's repeat the previous process. Press U to reveal those keyframes, then hold Shift and drag to the right so that those middle keyframes meet the out point of Close-Up 3. With that snapped to that position, we're ready for Close-Up 4 to come in. So select Close-Up 4 on your asset comps and drag that down here. Then drag it to the right holding Shift so that it snaps to the time indicator again. And let's have that ending at around 19 seconds. So hit Alt and square right bracket. Let's duplicate Flash 4 to make it Flash 5. Drag that down and repeat the process. Press U to reveal those keyframes and drag it across. Now let's bring in Close-Up 5. Hold Shift and drag that across. And now we can see my final two images. And let's decide where we want this to end. I'm going to go for let's go for 23 seconds. Hold Alt and square back bracket to trim that. Duplicate Flash 5 for the last time and press U to reveal those keyframes, and again repeat that process so that the middle keyframes meet the out point of the close-up. So we're going to cut back to our main scene now, and we want to cut back to the point at which all the pictures have already fallen into the scene. So select the rain scene and hit Command D to duplicate it. Select the duplicate layer and then extend it all the way out and drag it down to the bottom of your layers. And let's decide how long we want it to be. We still have to add our text reveal, so let's say 28 seconds for now and drag that across. Then go to the out point of Close-Up 5. With the rain scene selected, press Alt and square left bracket. So we're almost finished now, and in fact I'm going to stop the video here and then we'll come back to when we're making our titles. So I'll see you in the next part.